morning, everybody. I'm Paul Diebold with the Irvington Historical Society. It's a nice Saturday morning. It's a great fall day here in Irvington. And behind me, you're seeing Washington Street in the distance. This is the setting where the Halloween festival would be held normally. Of course, we have the problem of COVID this year, so things are going to be different. But we're going to dedicate this episode to the Halloween festival and the traditions of the Halloween festival. And some of the traditions are going to continue this year despite COVID, and we have Nancy Sponsel here with us. We're going to go ahead and pan around and talk to Nancy. Nancy is the director of the Halloween Festival for Irvington. And Nancy, you are a lifelong resident of Irvington, correct?
I am, yes, thanks.
And do you have some great memories of the Halloween festivals in years past when you were a kid?
I do. When I was younger growing up, the schools coordinated fall break towards the festival.
Nice.
So you have Thursday and Fridays off before the festival. So we go down and we paint on the windows and do our preparation, carve our pumpkins for the pumpkin carving contest. And then you wait that Saturday morning, you'd wake up and you'd get dressed and you'd run down to the street festival. And that time it was much smaller. But you'd run down and I'd get $5 from my parents, and that was my day's worth of fun.
Now $5.
Oh yeah. Well, that included, I had to buy my lunch at the chili dinner at the lodge. The Job's daughters would put on this huge chili dinner, and you get chili and a soft drink and dessert, which all the ladies from the lodge, they made these amazing desserts, and we'd go and you'd sit up there with your friends and you'd eat your food, and then you'd go down and spend the rest of your $3 running around booth to booth, and it was a magical time. It was a great time to grow up in Irvington.
That's great. That's great. So the kind of foundations there you talked about, in Irvington we're big on preserving things, and sometimes what we're preserving is really kind of more a tradition, a sort of a nebulous thing, a tradition. And you talked about having the chili dinner, the pumpkin contest, and of course the parade was a big tradition, right?
Oh yeah. And back then you had so many entries. We'd have floats at that time, and groups, and we'd start, and it would take almost an hour from the start at Audubon and Washington to get to School 57's parking
Oh my
lot.
gosh.
Yeah, it was.
Wow.
There was just so many people, and people lined the streets. You watched the kids go up and down, and we'd stop at Johnson and Washington Street, and there would be 4 or 5 distinctive judges that would sit there and judge us, and they'd usher us around them, and we'd go and wait in the 57 parking lot for the winners to be announced.
Oh, neat. So the other great tradition that really ties Irvington to the art tradition is the window painting. And I understand that this year it's going to be a little bit different. Usually we paint right on the windows, and through the years I've seen some very elaborate, really permanent type works of art that people will do that can only stay up there for a few weeks. But this year it's going to be a little bit different to continue the tradition. Could you explain that to us?
Yeah, what we're going to do is we're going to hand out a poster board to each painter, and they'll pick those up at the library, and the date for that will be announced here in the next few days. They'll pick up a poster board, they'll take it home, they'll make their creation, and then they'll bring it back to the library. And at that time, then we'll distribute it to the merchants on Washington Street, and they'll hang them in the windows. And we encourage people to come down and find their pictures, and maybe spend some time in some of the shops. And when it's all done, you can come back. If you'd like to claim your photo, you can come and claim your picture, and that'll be back at the library. And that way you can keep your photo from this wonderful 2020 year.
Interesting, yeah, an interesting 2020 year. But next year is the 75th festival, correct?
Yes, it is.
Are we? Of course, we're crossing our fingers. I think a solution will be at hand for our COVID problem. But aside from that, are there bigger plans for 75?
Well, we'll start our planning immediately after the festival this year, and we have some surprises in store. Yes.
Surprises.
Yes.
That sounds good.
Yes. Yeah.
Good surprises.
Good surprises. Definitely.
Well, Nancy, we thank you for joining us here today and to talk about the Halloween Festival and the great traditions of being in Irvington, since we are the Halloween neighborhood for Indianapolis, and it's really grown. Attendance in recent years, I think at one point you told me 67,000
Yes.
estimated by police,
Yes.
Indianapolis police, 67,000 people here in Irvington. Of course, that won't happen this year, but next year, I think we're going to be good.
Yeah, we're planning on a bumper year next year.
Bumper year, that's great. Well, thank you once again. I'm going to pop in front of the camera here, and again, we could use your support. Here's how you donate. You go to this website and you can find the information on giving us a small donation or becoming a member. We'd love to have your support. Thank you, and we'll see you next week.